Good morning. I'm your host, Fred Ellis, on your pottery adventure. This is Something Southern Pottery. We want to welcome you and hope that you have an enjoyable experience with your pottery. All right, we're back for the next session. These pots have dried for 24 hours overnight. Now they dried under plastic at least part of the night, the majority of it. They're at the leather hard stage now. So I can begin to trim them. I can get the bottom in the exact shape I want and take it off the bat. And any imperfections that I see, I can smooth out or change right now a little bit. They're fairly hard, but not completely. So I have still a lot of options to exercise on it. If I see a little spot that looks bad, I can kind of clean it up. So there again, that's quality control all the way through the process. So now what I do is I take my sharp stick and I take some of the clay away. Just go down to the bat with it, then turn it sideways and let it take off the clay. Just let it run smooth along the head. Now these pots, these pitchers will not have a foot ring on them like a lot of the bowls and flat things. There'll be a trimming tool now that I'll use to trim this up. But I do want to leave a foot. I want the person to know where the pot truly begins at and where it ends. So I'm going to flare this a little bit right here, see what I want to do with it. I'm also taking in mind I want a smooth surface here. Remember I told you I like these bats in this system because I can move it, take a look at it, see where it's not quite right. Undercut that area right there for two reasons. I had an instructor one time that kind of insinuated it made the pot, and it does, it leaves a shadow, kind of made the pot look like it was floating on the surface, table, whatever it is. Now I take this other tool just because of the way it's shaped, and I cut a little piece there at the base. I don't know why, it's an area I cut so my glazes don't run down in that. Remember, I told y'all, I do this for me. It's how it works for Fred. It's not the best way, the worst way, or anything else. Then when I get it to where I think I want it, take a last look and see, is that that's basically the profile I want. So now I'm gonna take it off the bat. At this stage, I can kind of undercut it right here. And like I showed you on those others, if you've watched the other films, if not, take a look at them. I just undercut it here until it moves. Now it's loose from the bat. And I take my tool, which is my hand, and I smooth that edge out. Then I take a rubber rib. All I'm doing is just cleaning off the wheel head a little bit. Get some of the clay off of it. Then I take my sponge and I finish cleaning it up as much as I want to. And I set this aside. The next step, once I get them all done, the next step will be to pull a handle or put a handle on them. As you can see, I'm going to extrude my handles. I don't pull them. I know how to pull a handle, make a nice pretty handle, and I do that sometimes on pots that I have in an exhibition or a gallery. And it's simple dollars and cents. When you extrude several handles, and you do as many handles as we do in a year's time, I'd have to charge more for my pots if I extrude, if I pull them, because it takes time. And as the old saying goes, time is money. So I extrude them. I bought this extruder years ago, and it paid for itself probably in the first month I had it. So I'll show you what we do. I took some very well wedged up clay, and I've loaded it into the extruder. And I've got the handle blank in there that I use. It's straight off the shelf. You can make your own and make them any form you want them to be. I just took it off the shelf, and that's what I use. To cheat a little bit, as you can see, there's a mark on the wall there. I made that, that's the length of the strip that I use. So I just extrude it till I'm looking at it and it reaches that length. Now I only need 4, so I'm gonna make at least 6 just in case something tears up. And then I'll leave the extruder, and hopefully I'll remember to come back and clean it up. Now we're going back over to the throwing area to put the handles on. As you can see, these are my handle blanks that I extruded. I kind of put them under that piece of plastic to keep them viable and soft. And now I use certain things to make shortcuts out of it, and I use the classified ads in the newspaper to go with whatever I'm making at the time as far as handles. It's so many. It's 3.5, 4, 4.5. So it just depends on what I'm doing, and I cut them off and make them even And I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna cut this one up. I've got enough extra in case I make a mistake. So I'm gonna cut that at what I think is the normal area for my handles. Now these pots have been under wrap for a couple of days. Now what I do is I'm going to check them over. I have every step, you're kind of quality controlled, if you will, to look. Laura likes it nice and smooth here for her to decorate. Since she carves into the pot when we put a slip on it, so that's what we do. We try to fix it up for her. You can see there's our stamps, something Southern SS, LHE for Laura, FPE for me. And when Jalen gets her stamp out, which she just made, came out of the kiln, I think, her stamp will go on here too. Because she helps make, just like all three of us and the potter, we get credit because all three of us do something to make every pot. Jalen wedged up the clay for me to throw these out of. That's one of the things that she does that takes some work off me as a rule. Okay, how I line my handles up on my pitchers is I take my fettling knife. You could use anything you want to. You can just strictly eyeball it, or for those of you who are real precise, and I know there are some of you out there who almost have an engineering degree, I just lay my fettling knife down in the spout. As you can see, it's in the spout. And then I look on right directly opposite and see half and half, and that's where I'm gonna make my mark. And I sight right down there, and I'm dead in the middle there. So now I just make the scratches, if you will. That's all they are, it's just scratches. And I look at where the bottom's gonna be. And I try to line that up. Then I put a little water on this to let that begin to soften up. Then I take my handle blank and I go to this end of it. As you can see, I cut it at a little bit of an angle. I get it cut at an angle that way and there, so it matches up with the pot after I put it on, which is what I'm going to do right now. And I just slowly press in and move until it begins to seat and I don't get that free movement anymore. Now I take my pot and I go down here and I start pressing and shaping. And I'll show you this. I'm just moving that clay around and I'm pressing it in there and smoothing it. And I kind of want it to look like, if you will, that it's a part of and growing, if you will, right out of that pot. Now, a little water there, let it dry while I'm making some slip. As you can see, just by rubbing water on this end and this, now I go down to where I put the other end of my handle and I place it right where I want it. And I begin to do the same thing. I press it down all the way across. From this side to this side, I just press it down. And then I start smoothing it. And it doesn't matter what finger you use, we're just smoothing it out here. A little more water, smooth it. And I'm pushing it into that pot the entire time. And that appears pretty sturdy. See how that end's anchored now? And now I kind of clean it up. Get some of that water and get some of the marks off of it. Check the handle alignment. I'll redo this handle alignment at least 2 more times. One more time after I put that cover back over these pots. Actually, I'll turn them upside down like this when I get ready to cover it. And the reason I turn it upside down is I want gravity to work on this handle and straighten them out and put them at the correct angle I want them at. Put them like that. Now don't cover it tight. I just wrap this over it a little bit. And put it under here just to anchor it down. And that's as tight as I'm gonna get it. And it's gonna dry under that plastic overnight real slow. All right, now we're to the pictures, the three that I showed you on this video. So we're going to glaze them now. We have decorated, thrown them, trimmed them, put handles on them. Laura's decorated them. We've bisque fired them. And now we're glazing them. And thank you. That takes care of this portion of the video. Please like the videos. Follow us on YouTube and Facebook. Check out our website. And we will see you next time. Thank you. This is Fred Ellis for Something Southern. Good day.